No civilization disappears without a trace. When people vanish from history, it's never because they're gone, it's because their names have changed. That's the lie we are destroying tonight.
Before the lie was told, before the flag was planted, before violence was blessed and called destiny, before colonizers arrived claiming new land with old blood on their hands, before survival meant fighting extinction, this land was not discovered, it was invaded. This is before the borders.
Episode 1. The 10 tribes did not vanish. They were renamed. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with the book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. What's the truth? The truth is that the so-called Native American Indians are of the 12 tribes of Israel. The so-called Hispanics are of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 50. Yes, we read the Bible here. Jeremiah 50 and verse 6 says, my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. We have forgotten our resting place. The so-called Native American Indians have forgotten. The so-called Hispanics have forgotten their resting place. Verse 7. All that found them have devoured them. You see what's going on today? In America, our people are being devoured. ICE devouring. The white man has devoured our people, has devoured us continually to this day. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So we're going to dive into some history tonight. All right, we're going to dive into some history. The history of the American Indians. Y'all can see this book. All right? Y'all can see this book right here. The History of the American Indians by James Adair. Now, watch this. We're going to dive into this book right here because our people don't believe they are the people. All right? So this is, let me see. Let me get right to it. This is page 13. Observations on the origins and descent of the Indians. All right, this is page 13. Both the Chickasaw and Choctaw Indians call a deceitful person Sinte, or a snake, and they frequently say they have not Sinte Sulish, the snake's tongue, the meaning of which is very analogous to a name the Hebrews gave to a deceitful person, which probably proceeded from a traditional knowledge of Eve's being beguiled by the tempter, and that shape for the Indians never affixed any bad idea to the present reptile fraternity except that of poisonous teeth, and they never used any such metaphor as that of a snake's teeth. What did the Native American call the white man when he got over here? Snake. Snake. Watch this. Some have supposed the Americans to be descended from the Chinese. You know what they say? The Native American Indians are from Asia, from the Chinese, the Japanese. Watch this. But neither their religion, laws, customs, and etc. agree in the least with those of the Chinese. What is James Adair saying? He observed the religious culture of the Native American Indians and did not see anything that correlates with the religious culture of the Chinese. Which, watch this, which proves that they are not of that line. Besides, as our best ships now are almost half a year in sailing to China or from hence to Europe, it is very unlikely they should attempt such dangerous discoveries in early time. What they said, it was impossible. It wasn't even possible that the Native American Indians could sail from China. Watch this though, watch this. Hey, you know, we're gonna get some more. We're gonna get some good stuff. There's some good stuff in here. This is page 15, argument number 2. By a strict, permanent divine precept, the Hebrew nation were ordered to worship at Jerusalem, Jehovah, the true and living God, and who by the Indians is still Yahweh. Whoa, wait a minute. So you telling me that the Native American Indians had a name for God? The same name that is in the scriptures? Hold up. Which the 72 interpreters, either from ignorance or superstition, have translated Adonai. I could be saying that wrong. I don't know how to speak Hebrew. Adonai. And is the very same as the Greek kurios, signifying sir, lord, or master, which is commonly applied to earthly potentates without the least signification of or relation to that the most great and awful name which describes the divine essence who naturally and necessarily exists of himself without beginning or end. Damn, where's the bomb? The ancient heathens, it is well known, worship a plethora of gods. Gods which they formed to themselves, according to their own liking, as various as the countries they inhabited, and as numerous with some as the days of the year. Just like America today. America got you worshiping Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, New Year's Day, birthdays. Give me some more. America got you worshiping all these different holidays, all these different gods that you worshiping right here in America. 4th of July, where Jews lie. They got you worshiping all these different deities. But watch this. The ancient heathens, it is well known, worship. Oh, I already read that. But these Indian Americans paid their religious devour, I don't know how to say this word, Lok Ichatul Abba, the great, beneficent, supreme Holy Spirit of fire, who resides, as they think, above the clouds and on earth also with unpolluted people. What are we reading here? We are reading the documents of how James Adair, he examined the culture of the Native American Indians on this continent. And he discovered that their traditions, their morals, the way they thought, the way they spoke, all matched the scriptures. Of who? The Israelites. Watch this. We're going to give you some more. This is page 17. They paid no religious worship to stocks or stones after the manner of the old Eastern pagans. Neither do they worship any kind of images whatsoever. This is what our ancestors were doing. They wasn't worshiping images. They wasn't worshiping stocks and stones. Watch this. And it deserves our notice in a very particular manner to invalidate the idle dreams of Fry of South America that none of all the various nations from Hudson's Bay to the Mississippi has ever been known by or trading people to attempt to make any image of the great divine being whom they worship. This is consonant to the Jewish observance of the second commandment. So the Native Americans was doing what? Keeping God's commandments, which was not given to all nations, was not given to all people. God's commandments were given to the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to give you some more tonight. Like I said, hey, we smashing all doctrines tonight. The 10 tribes did not vanish. Their names were renamed. They were renamed. They didn't vanish. They still here. I'm going to give you some more. We's going to give you some more. Let's see. Watch this. This is argument 3. The reason why the chapters are called arguments because James Adar understood that the argument that the Native Americans are Israelites was far greater with proof than the argument that they weren't Israelites. So we're going to read argument number 3, page 21. Agreeable to the theocracy or divine government of Israel, the Indians think the deity to be the immediate head of their state. All the nations of Indians are exceedingly intoxicated with religious pride and have an inexpressible contempt of white people. Watch this. Unless we accept those half-savage Europeans who are become their proselytes, nothing is the most favorable name they give us in their set speeches. Even the Indians, who were formerly bred in enmity with us and in enmity to the French, used to call us in their war orations Hatuk ou Prus, the accursed people. Hey, the Native American Indians saw the white man and said, those are accursed people. Those are people that we will never get along with. We'll give you some more. We're going to give you some more. Let me get right to it. Let's see. Hey man, y'all like the screen, man. Like the live, share it. I'm trying to get right to it, you know. Oh, here we go. So this is argument number 8. Then we're gonna move on. Their festivals, fast, and religious rites have also a great resemblance to those of the Hebrews. This is what James Adar is saying. I observed their religious festivals, their fast, their religious rites, and is greatly exhibiting those of the Hebrews. Now, how? Think about this. How could the Native American Indians be doing the same thing that's written in the Bible? How is that possible? How were they keeping the Feast of Passover if they were not the Israelites? How were they keeping the Feast of Tabernacles if they were not the Israelites? How did they know about circumcision if they were not the Israelites? Watch this. Let us now turn to the copper color American Hebrews. You see what they call it? Copper color American Hebrews. While their sanctified new fruits of dressing, A religious attendant is ordered to call 6 of their old beloved women to come to the temple and dance the beloved dance with joyful hearts. According to the old beloved speech, they cheerfully obeyed and entered the supposed holy ground in solemn procession, each carrying in her hand a bundle of small branches of various green trees, and they joined the same number of old magi or priests. The elders of the priests leads the sacred dance. A head of the innermost row, which of course is next to the holy fire, he begins the dance round the supposed holy fire by invoking Yah. After the usual manner on a bass key and with a short accent, then he sings yo-yo, which is repeated by the rest of the religious procession. And he continues his sacred invocations and praises, repeating the divine word or notes till they return to the same point of the circular course. Watch this, y'all. I'm going to jump down. For time's sake. Then the awful drums joined the sacred choir, which incite the old female singers to chant forth their notes and grateful praises before the divine essence, and to redouble their formal, quick, joyful steps in imitation of the leader of the sacred dance, and the religious men ahead of them, what with the mainly strong notes of the one, and the shrill voices of the other in concert with the bead shells and the 2 founding drum-like earthen vessels. Their singing and dancing in 3 circles around the sacred fire appears to have a reference to a like religious custom of the Hebrews. And may we not reasonably suppose that they formerly understood the Psalms or divine hymns, at least those that begin with Hallelujah. They were singing, they were dancing, and they were screaming, Hallelujah. Come on, somebody. Hey, who are these people? Who are these people? The so-called Native American Indians was singing and dancing and chanting Hallelujah. Watch this. Otherwise, how came all the inhabitants of the extensive regions of North and South America to have and retain those very expressive Hebrew words? How are the indigenous people of the North and South America able to express Hebrew words? How? Or how repeat them so distinctly and apply them after the manner of the Hebrews in their religious acclamations? The like could not be found in any other countries. That lets you know the so-called Native Americans are the Israelites, are from the 12 tribes of Israel. The 10 tribes didn't vanish, they were renamed. I'm going to get Ezekiel 34. I'm going to go ahead and get Ezekiel 34. Watch this. Ezekiel 34 and verse 5. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd. Our people don't have a shepherd. The so-called pastors today, you are not a shepherd. The leaders of today are not shepherds. And they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. When were we scattered? In slavery. We were scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth in slavery. All right? Before the white man said we need to create borders in America, we were here. The Israelites are here. Verse 6. This is the Lord talking to us. My sheep. Who's the sheep? Let's get that real quick. Let's get that real quick. Who are the sheep of God? Matthew 15 and 24. It says Christ. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So who are the sheep? The sheep are the Israelites. Who are the Israelites? You so-called Native Americans. You indigenous people that were here before the borders. We're going to go back to Ezekiel. Ezekiel 34 and verse 6 again. My sheep wander through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yet my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search after them. Search or seek after them. Who is that? That's the so-called Native Indians. That's you so-called Mexicans, you so-called Puerto Ricans, you so-called Venezuelans. Before the white man got here, you knew who you were. You knew you were of the 12 tribes of Israel. We're reading it. We're reading the history. I got books for you tonight to show that our ancestors knew. What happened? We were renamed. And when we became renamed, we became different people. We became Native Americans. And with Native Americans came Christianity. And with Christianity came white Jesus. Another religion. All these things happen. You gotta understand. This is before the borders. All right? Where we examine history before colonization, before renamed maps, and before rewritten records. This show is not for the comfort, it's for the remnant. Not for the comfort, it's for the remnant. All right? Hey, let's get 2nd Ezra real quick. Let's get 2nd Ezra. I wanted to pull up. Can you pull up the Arsarith real quick? Yeah, pull up Arsarith. I forgot you had that thing right there. Yeah, just so I could see it on the screen. So we're gonna go to the book of 2nd Ezra, all right? Go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 49. I want to read this though. We were told the so-called lost tribes. They said we lost. We were told the lost tribes vanished. No mass graves, no extinction events, no records of collapse, just disappeared. That should bother you. That should bother you. History does not work that way. Populations migrate, they assimilate, hell, they're even conquered. But they don't just evaporate. You understand? History, populations just don't disappear. Populations just don't vanish out of thin air. You gotta understand, the white man just renamed us, rebranded us. That's what they did. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. These are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria, this was about 530 BC, 529, 530 BC, right? Led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. If you look into the records of the origin stories of these Native American Indians, a lot of them knew. A lot of them knew they came from a faraway country. They came from a faraway country. Where? In Jerusalem, Israel, that side of the earth. They know that. Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. What the white man called this place? The New World. Why? Because man was not here. That they may keep, watch this, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. We just read the book right here. And we got some more books that we're going to bring out. We got a couple we're going to bring out tonight. We just read a book that proved that the Native American Indians on this side of the earth were keeping the same religious customs that you read in the Bible, in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. The same customs, the same commandments you read in Exodus chapter 20, the same customs, the same law of circumcision, the same law of uncleanness. You can't read that in the Quran. You can't read that in the the Buddha book. Is there a book for the Buddhists? You can't read that in there. You only get that information from the Bible. Verse 43. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth. What is Arsareth? This is yeah, I can see it. This is Arsareth. This is from the Jewish Encyclopedia. Yes! The white Jewish man knows who you are. They know who you are. Arsareth. The name of the land beyond the great river. It is the Jewish Encyclopedia. You can look this stuff up. You can look it up. The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses. We're reading these things. Prophecy. Observing the laws of Moses. Observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 2nd Ezra, what was that, 14? 13. Columbus. Now, why would it say Columbus? Columbus identified America with this land. So Columbus read our manuscripts, read our book, our history, and said Arsareth. This gotta be Arsareth. Why? Because the 10 tribes are here. Columbus knew this was Arsareth because the 10 tribes were here when he got here. When he landed on when he went to Hispaniola, he saw the Israelites. He saw the Israelites. You understand? When Ponce de Leon showed up, when Hernan Cortez showed up, which were all Jewish men, by the way, you know who they saw? The Israelites. And we're going to prove it. We're going to prove it furthermore. I'm going to get Deuteronomy 28. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. Like I said, we got a couple more books. This is only the first episode. Hey. I couldn't help myself. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. This is Moses speaking to who? The Israelites. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. This is a prophecy that the nation of Israel will be cursed for breaking God's commandments. Will be cursed. This is Moses speaking to the Israelites, telling us if we don't keep God's commandments, evil things are going to happen to us. Evil things are going to befall us as a people. Watch this, verse 37. So we're going to go to verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. What is a byword? A byword has been called outside of your God-given name. So you won't be called Gad no more. You'll be called Native American. You won't be called Issachar no more. You'll be called Mexican. You won't be called Ephraim no more. You'll be called Puerto Rican. These are the names that they put upon us. The whole world knows you as Native American. The whole world knows you as Venezuelan. All these nations know you by the name that your slave master gave you. Ain't that something? When Trump went and kidnapped Maduro, yes, he kidnapped him. When he went and kidnapped Maduro, the whole world said the Venezuelans. Venezuelans? Those are the Israelites. Those are God's people. When the white man came and conquered the Native American Indians, because they weren't called Native American Indians before the white man got here, how all of a sudden the whole world knows them now as Native American Indians? You fit the prophecy. You fit the prophecy. You fit the prophecy. That's who you are. You are God's chosen people. Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. When this white man came from Spain, from Europe, from England, from France, when they came over here, guess what? They all represent the eagle. They didn't come over here speaking your language. I saw this thing the other day. White man say, I traded this land with you. I bought this land from you. How can you say that when the Native American Indians, so-called, your money means nothing to them? Your money means nothing. You bringing this form of payment to a nation that already has a form of payment. That means you just brought toilet paper with you and gave it value. The Native American Indians did not give your money any value. How can you say you bought my land from me? These people are snakes before the borders. Snakes, I tell you, snakes. Let me see. Empire, oh, here we go. Empires don't erase people first. They erase names, change continuity, thank you, Jair, breaks, and once continuity breaks, you can teach the next generation a new story. Same people, new labels, new narrative. That's what they have done to us. Now, watch this. I got another book for y'all. What's the next book I got? What's the next one? Trail of Tears? So this is another book I got. It's called The Trail of Tears. The Rise and Fall of the Cherokee Nation by John L. All right? Trail of Tears. Trail of Tears. Now watch this. We're gonna go inside this book and we're gonna see what it says. This is the very first page of the first chapter of the book. Very first paragraph. Let's see what it says. Investigations were made in the 17th and 18th centuries to determine whether the American Indians were the lost tribes of Judah. And it was pretty well proved both yes and no. hold up, wait a minute. So you telling me, how long is a century? 100 years? For 200 years, the white man gathered information to prove to themselves that this is exactly where the 12 tribes are, and that the Native American Indians are of the 12 tribes of Israel. It's 200 years of proof that you are the Israelites. 200 years of proof. The 18th and 17th centuries. Watch this, there's more. And it was pretty well proved both yes and no, and unprovable either way. Which made it an excellent topic for the study of exploitation, one populated by warm bodies and tear-stained faces and beautiful weighted children. James Adair, an Irish trader, a white man know your history better than you know. That's why they call you Native American. They call you Native American because they don't want you to know your history. If they continue to allow us to call ourselves Israelites, guess what? Their reign of power would end. If we came back to the commandments of God, keeping the commandments, knowing who we are, their reign of power is over. But guess what? It's already over. It's happening. Watch this. James Adair, an Irish trader who lived among the Cherokees for 40 years, decided the Indians were indeed one of the lost tribes and wrote 70,000 words on the subject at a time when printed words were dear. He was able to print 70,000 words in a time when it was almost impossible to do. It said he spent 40 years amongst the Cherokee. But you got the white man spent 200 years to investigate this matter. Not investigate anything else. Not investigate to stop world hunger. Not investigate, you know what I mean, to stop cancer. They investigated, who are these Cherokees over here? Who are these Choctaws? Who are these Chickasaws? Who are these Apaches? Who are these Wind River? Who are these Blackfoot? Who are these people? They're the Israelites. Watch this. He used as evidence such topics as their division into tribes, their language and dialects, their festivals, feasts, and religious rites, their absolutions and anointings, their laws of uncleanness, their avoidance of unclean things, their practices of marriage, divorce, and punishment for adultery, their ornaments. I want y'all to understand something. And this is the first page of the book. Maybe y'all think I'm lying, you know. Can y'all see that? Maybe y'all think I'm full of it. This is the first page of the book. We ain't got all night to go through this book. The 10 tribes did not vanish. They were renamed. They had to rename us. We didn't vanish. The 10 tribes are not just out in the atmosphere. The lost tribes. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, let me get Leviticus 26. Let me get Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26 and verse 44. Watch this. Because you got your Christian pastors The tribes are done away with. What are you talking about? You read, Paul talks about it in Romans the 11th chapter. Anyway, I don't want to get all angry. Leviticus 26 and 44. Watch this. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, this is future prophecy, that the Native American Indians, the indigenous people of the land, all right, will be in the land of their enemies in where? The last days. They'll be in the land of the last days. I will not cast them away. This is what the Father's telling us. He will not cast us away. Neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly. That means we're not going to be destroyed. That means, guess what? We're still here. We are still here, yet this day. To destroy them utterly and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the heathen, that I might be their God. I am the Lord. God didn't cast us away. He didn't cast us away utterly. All right? We are still here. If the tribes didn't vanish, then the story we're taught is incomplete. At best, and intentionally misleading. This is what you gotta understand. It is intentionally misleading. Intentionally. Why would someone intentionally mislead the people into believing that the Native American Indians are not Israelites? You gotta understand, it's a purpose why they did that. They don't want you to wake up. They don't want you to see your so-called African American brothers, who God calls Judah. They don't want you to look at them as a people that you should follow. They don't want you to see the righteousness of the so-called African Americans that's waking up, standing up, fighting against oppression. They don't want you to see them as your brothers. They don't want you to see them as people that you need to go and learn from. See, God is about unity. God is about unity. And guess what? We are 12 tribes. That means the so-called African American, the so-called Jamaican, the so-called Haitian. Guess what they are? They are brothers to the so-called Native American Indians. They are brothers to the so-called Mexicans. They are brothers to the so-called Puerto Ricans. They are brothers to the so-called Seminole Indians. They are brothers to the so-called Brazilians, Venezuelans, Hondurans. They are brothers. The 12 tribes didn't vanish. They were just renamed. They were just renamed. All right. Hey, what we got next? Let me get the next book. This is another book. Classical reprint. This is a reprint. This was printed. This was published in 1837. Originally published in the 1800s. All right. This is Discourse on the Evidences of the American Indians being the descendants of the lost tribes of Israel, delivered before the Mercantile Library Association, Clinton Hall, by M.M. Noah. So let's go inside the book. We're going to go inside the book, all right? We'll go to page... I think it's page 5. Huh? Yep. So this is page 5 or 13. All right. This is it right there. And we're going to read something. We're going to read something. Remember, they intentionally misled us. Why would they intentionally do that? Let's read some history. If the Indians of America are not the descendants of the missing tribes, again I ask, from whom are they descended? That's a question. Somebody need to ask. Somebody need to answer that question. If the Native American Indians are not descended from the 12 tribes of Israel, then who are they descended from? Where are they from? If the Indians of America are not the descendants of the missing tribes, again I asked, from whom are they descended? From the Egyptians? Because a lot of y'all like to say y'all Egyptian. You ain't no doggone Egyptian. You don't descend from Ham. You come from Shem. Wherein in their belief is there the least resemblance of the worship of Isis and Osiris? Where's the resemblance of worshiping these gods? If they're descendants from Egypt, from the Egyptians, then why aren't they worshiping like the Egyptians? Or the hieroglyphics or historical of that very ancient people. Are they part of the fierce Scythians? They're warlike, I can't read this word, would prove them to be so. But were among those barbarians do we discover the belief in one great spirit, together with the softer virtues, the purity and talents of the Indians? Are they of the Tartar race, their complexion, the shadowed livery of the burning sun, might be offered in evidence, but they have not the flat head, an angular and twinkling eye, nor the deep, I cannot see this word. It's dim. It was written in 1800s. It says they don't have the flat head or the angular and twinkly eye of the Chinese. They say they don't look like the Chinese. They don't look like the Chinese people. Watch this. The Indians have distinct Jewish features, and neither in mind, manners, nor religion bear any affinity to the Tartar race. I have endeavored to show this by their traditions, by their religions, by their ceremonies, which retain so much of the ancient worship. But there is one proof more, which is in my mind removes all doubt. Watch this. Sir Alexander Mackenzie, in his Journal of a Tour to the Northwest Continent of America, declares from his own observation that the Chickasaw Indians practice circumcision, which fact is corroborated by several other, travelers amongst the various tribes. Man, I'm missing a page, man. I wanted the one where it said that the white people didn't bathe for a year when they got here. They had to teach them how to bathe. Hey, but this is the proof. We showing the proof, all right? We showing the proof that what? The Native Americans are Israelites. We got the books. We got the historical facts dating back to the 1800s, the 18th, the 19th century, 17th to 18th century. Where what? What did the white man do? The white man researched who you are, because they know they had to make sure that they gotta keep us from serving our God. Let's get that. Let's get that in Psalms, the 83rd chapter. This is Psalms 83. Watch this, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel. Remember, I asked the question. Let me ask it again. If the tribes didn't vanish, then the story we're taught is incomplete at best and intentionally misleading. That intentionally misleading is going into what? Crafty counsel. It's crafty counsel to know who a people are and then rename them. That's crafty counsel. To research, to dive, to be a mole, to be an agent and walk among us, figure out that our religion, our customs, our heritage, our language, all resembles the 12 tribes of Israel. And then say, we got to rename them. We got to stop. We got to infiltrate. We got to infiltrate their customs. Infiltrate so now they worship a rock. Now they worship a stone. Now they worship a bird, a cow, a frog. Now they worship like the Egyptians. That's crafty counsel. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4, they have said, come, let us cut them off for being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. This is what they did. All right? For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Who's confederate against us? The so-called white man, the so-called Chinese man, the so-called Japanese man, the Russian man, the Jewish man. They are confederate against us. They have taken crafty counsel. They said, come, we must cut them off. We must cut their names off. So they no longer call themselves Israelites anymore. All right? The 10 tribes didn't vanish. They were renamed. I'm going to get Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. And the Lord names them. Jeremiah 31, verse 35. Thus said the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If these ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. We still see the sun every day. We see the moon. That lets you know that the nation of Israel is still living amongst the earth to this day. Verse 37. Nope, I just wanted that. Yeah, verse 37. Thus said the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. The white man can't even go to the bottom of the ocean. They can't measure the heavens. The Lord is letting us know that what? The Israelites are still here. The 10 tribes didn't vanish. They were renamed. If the tribes didn't vanish, then the story we're taught is incomplete at best and intentionally misleading at worst. If that's true, it raises a dangerous question. Who benefited from the disappearance of the 10 tribes of Israel? Who benefited from that? If this first episode, if this episode made you uncomfortable, then you might want to follow. You might want to drop a follow. All right? Because guess what? This series only gets deeper. The lie isn't that the tribes vanished. The lie is that you wouldn't notice the renaming of the people. This is Before the Borders, all right? The record isn't done.